Cooking and effect of heat on meats. As we know that most of the meat that is consumed, it has to be cooked, depending upon the tradition of a country or the way the cuisine of a specific area. But normally meat is cooked, and this cooking involves heating mostly. There could be different kind of heating involved. So we here will discuss that what are the changes that would take place on meats. Normally, there are different kind of changes, such as the change in color and texture of meat. This is the most apparent one. As we discussed, that the meat might change from red to grayish brown while heating. It also changes the texture as well. The texture is normally softer, but it can be crispier once we deep fry different meat and their products. And another very important aspect is food safety. As I said, that meat is an ideal candidate for most of the pathogenic microorganisms as well. So if we can cook the meat at a higher temperature, that would reduce the microbial load. It can also kill a lot of pathogenic bacteria as well. So that ensure the food safety as well. So cooking is also important. For example, in cases when we don't properly cook meat, there are chances that some of the pathogens might transfer. And there are a lot of incidences that do take place actually in case of undercooked meat. So food safety, I think, is primarily is an important achievement that is normally done through heating. But the desirable change in texture, color, flavor, it also takes place. This increases the palatability or eating quality of meat. And the method of cooking would again depend upon type of meat that we are talking about. Like, for example, the meat can be tender or it can be hard. And the heat can be dry and could be moist heat as well. So dry heat is normally used when we have tender cuts of meat or young animals, because the younger animals would have more tender meat or softer meat, so that can be fried easily. And the kind of operation that are normally done, they can be roasting, they could be broiling, and they could be pan frying as well. But this dry heat method cannot be very useful for older age animal or stiff muscles, or the less tender cuts. So normally in that case we would use moist heat. We can also use pressure cooking as well. The increase in pressure would actually reduce the cooking time, and because we have harder tissue here, we are talking about less standard cuts here. So in order to make them soft, either we cook them for a very long time, that would reduce the nutritional value of them, or another option is to actually increase the pressure. So increasing the pressure, atmospheric pressure, would actually speed up the process of cooking, and we can have the desirable changes in the cooked meat here. The most common cooking methods are roasting, broiling, and pan frying, which is normally done for meats. If we talk about the nutritional value of meat and the effect of heat on the nutritional value, thiamine in the meat can be partially lost during cooking, and this would again depend upon the amount of heat that we are giving to the meat. If the higher is the amount of heat or longer is the time of cooking, more would be the losses of this important vitamin thiamine. Similarly, when we cook meat, there are gravies or the water that in which we cook meat, so that would actually have a lot of vitamins that get into the water. So if we discard that water after use, we would also use a lot of vitamins in them as well. So they would increase, it would rather decrease the nutritional value of meat. So that is why if we want to have better quality of meat and we want to have more nutrients available from meat, the preferable option is to use lower temperature for heating. It should not be overcooked, because overcooking it may bring in the desirable changes like flavor and texture, but the nutrition of the food is generally reduced. So that is why people would prefer to use lower temperature in other countries. But again, as I said, that we have to look at both factors. Like if we use lower temperature, that can not generally make sure that food is safe. But if we increase the temperature, there are chances that you would be losing some of the nutritional value of meat. So there has to be a compromise between these two situations, whether we are looking for the nutritional value or whether we want to make food more more desirable in terms of flavor, texture, and the eating quality. So this was all about cooking and effect of heat on meats, meat tissues, and the nutritional value of meat.